Robin Vincent, and we're live from the Mackinac Policy Conference in Mackinac Island. This morning, WDET All Things Considered Detroit host and reporter Russ McNamara spoke with Democratic Senator Elissa Slotkin. Here was their conversation.
Elissa Slotkin spent 3 terms in the U.S. House before running to replace outgoing Democratic U.S. Senator Debbie Stabenow. She bucked the pro-GOP trend to beat Mike Rogers last November for the seat. She joins us now. Hello, Senator.
Good morning.
So let's jump right in. Medicaid and SNAP benefits. As it stands right now, millions are set to lose coverage because of cuts to those programs. People could be going hungry. There are a lot of people that rely on the SNAP program. What do Democrats do to counter the push by Republicans and the Trump administration?
Yeah, well, the big, beautiful bill comes over to the Senate now when we come back on Monday. And it's one of these bills where, again, the theory of the case is we cut a bunch of benefits to a lot of people, not a needy people, a lot of the same people, right? People who are on SNAP are often on Medicaid, and vice versa. And in order to pay for tax cuts. That's the theory of the case. 300,000 Michiganders are at risk of losing their primary insurance. And I think people forget that it's not just if you're on Medicaid. Like 2 out of every 3 older people in a nursing home in Michigan are paid for by Medicaid. Like, it's a program that affects a lot of our hospitals, our nursing homes, mental health services. Okay, so that comes to the Senate next week. And then we start debate on the big, beautiful bill. And my Republican colleagues are going to be under tremendous pressure. We saw Trump kind of browbeat the Republicans in the House into submission at 5:30 in the morning. They took a vote, right, up all night. So we'll see. We'll see how much strength they have. I think the case we're trying to make, whether it's on Medicaid or SNAP, is let's just understand that 90% of people who are on Medicaid are already working. Right, like an added work requirement.
Right.
They're making them sign up every 6 months so that people forget, people get busy, and they lapse and they get off of Medicaid. So it's for Michigan, it would have a dramatic impact.
California had sought to phase out gas-powered vehicles by 2035. Can you explain your vote with congressional Republicans in essentially removes California's ability to make their own rules?
Yeah, well, last week I was the one Democrat who voted with Republicans on pushing back on California's mandate. First of all, California and 11 other states set this mandate that by 2035 they'd go all electric, and they're nowhere near achieving that. And they say that. A bunch of states, Virginia, Maryland, they're getting out of it now because they know they can't meet it. But I think on top of that, I made a very important pledge to voters here that I don't support a mandate. I do not care what you drive, honestly. I mean, if you want to drive electric, great. Hybrid, great. Gas-powered, great. I drive a gas-powered vehicle. I live on a dirt road, nowhere near a charging station. I don't give a crap what you want to drive, but I want to build them here. That's a different conversation. I want to build the next generation of EVs, but I don't want to mandate. I don't believe in that. I think the market has to decide for us. So I took a vote. It's always interesting to be the one who does that. It means you get lots of stress and pressure, but I'm glad I got it out of the way in my first 4 months of being a senator.
Is there some hesitation just because this is ostensibly a environmental bill? The whole push to, make all these electric vehicles is to improve the environment. California has been leading in that regard with air emissions standards that far exceeded the EPA standards for years. They've been granted this waiver. So is there some concern that now that this would be removed, that automakers won't be as driven to make that switch over to EVs?
Well, look, the car companies, whether we like it or not, they're companies. They care about the bottom line, and consumer demand drives things. That's why trucks are still our most lucrative vehicles that we make, right? And they're some of the most gas-guzzling vehicles we got. I think the market has to be with us. The infrastructure, right? The charging stations. You got to be able to drive from Detroit to Chicago with a charging station. And I am all for it. I have put my job on the line to vote for EV tax credits, some of the things that incentivize manufacturing of EVs, buying an EV. I voted for those things in the House and had to defend them for years. But that doesn't mean we can create a mandate that's above and beyond anything like consumer demand.
You recently voted for the Genius Act. Like a lot of people, myself included, you start talking about blockchain and my eyes kind of glaze over a little bit. Can you explain that and exactly what what the Genius Act set up.
Yeah. So cryptocurrencies, people have probably heard of cryptocurrencies, even if they haven't invested in them or bought them or used them. It's a way to move money across the world electronically, as opposed to, a traditional bank, a check, and there is currently zero regulation on cryptocurrencies. Who gets to start one? Who gets to use it? It is a completely unregulated market. So this was the first attempt at a real piece of legislation to put some left and right limits on cryptocurrency. For me, the big thing was money laundering. Every single K through 12 school that I know of in Michigan that's been ransomed for their kids' data by some guy in Russia, they've asked for payment in cryptocurrency, right? Mm-hmm. Every single hospital has been ransomed. And it's because they move this stuff overseas and there's no regulation on it. So this was an attempt to put some left and right limits on it as opposed to none.
Is there some concern because the Trump administration thus far does not seem very pro-regulation, and even from the SEC to environmental regulations on down, they're just, unless it's really immigration focused, they don't care, essentially. So was now the best time to do that, even though we're going to be facing possibly 3 more years of unfettered regulation?
Yeah, the good news is, with this bill, the coin, the stable coin that Trump's kids have started, they created their own coin, will be regulated along with all the other crypto. So I think that's a good thing. There's no doubt that the president is just like using the White House as his piggy bank. I mean, it's literally, we've never seen it on this scale. It's completely gumming up the system because we don't know how to handle a president who does this kind of investment
right.
And this kind of work. So look, it's nothing's ever perfect, but I'd rather have some regulation rather than zero regulation, especially when it comes to international terrorism, money laundering, those kinds of things.
You voted for the Laken Riley Act. The Trump administration, in its immigration crackdown, has sort of abused that process already and using it to kind of pick up an awful lot of people who may not have done anything wrong, but yet using that to hold them and as a reason for deportation. Is there any hesitation or regret there in signing on to that legislation? So
that piece of legislation is not what he's using to pick up people like international students or people who were picked up using the Alien Enemies Act, that's a piece of legislation that's been on our books for over 100 years that he is absolutely using and abusing to pick up not just people who are here illegally, but people who have lawful status, who are legal immigrants, not to mention some of the mistakes where they've picked up American citizens, right, mm-hmm. and held them for a night or two. So there's no doubt about it that this president is taking what he believes is a mandate to secure the border, which I think is probably an accurate reading of what happened in the election, and going absolutely, bonkers with it to say that immigrants in general are the enemy, that we can't be a healthy society if we have immigrants here in big numbers attacking students who are here. We want to be the country that's attracting all the best international students. He's using a series of things, and right now he's ignoring the Supreme Court of the United States in a court order to bring back some of these lawful immigrants and give them their day in court, right? So he's using, it's not a bill. He's not using a bill to do that. He's using 100-year-old bills. He's using no bills. He's ignoring court orders. So what he's doing is above and beyond any one piece of legislation.
Yeah, I'm just wondering specifically if that's the case, then why was the Laken Riley bill specifically necessary? I mean, because there has been reported instances of people who just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, have done nothing wrong, and they're also picked up.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, do you feel that signing onto that bill enabled the Trump administration in that regard? Because, yes, they won an election, but it wasn't necessarily the mandate they claimed.
The Laken Riley bill was about an immigrant who is here, legal or illegal, who commits a crime, and that they would be deported immediately. But I think what Trump is doing is so beyond any one thing. And look, there's never going to be a perfect answer to all these things. I do believe in securing the border. I think the president had the mandate to secure the border. What he's doing now is so, targeting students that go to Western University or Wayne State, targeting American citizens by mistake is so beyond anything that we've ever seen that it is shocking a nation of immigrants. Shocking. And that includes people who were devoted Trump voters who you wouldn't think care about people being grabbed off the street, right? I live in Holly, and, I've never won my town. I've never won my precinct. I've never won my neighbors. And what I guess has heartened me a bit is that people who voted for him are saying, but I don't like when people without uniforms on just come and grab someone off the street. That sends a shiver down the spine of every American.
People will be voting again next year. You're currently the junior senator
Yes.
From Michigan, soon to be the senior senator from Michigan. Are you set to make an endorsement for anybody thus far? Is it too early?
Well, it's very early, but I would say in general, I follow the tradition of Debbie Stabenow, our former senator, who just did not endorse in primaries. I think we've got to let a primary process play out, and we have a lot of races. It's not just the Senate race.
Right.
We have a mayor's race this year. I mean, I don't think Michiganders are comprehending. They're so sick of politics already, but to comprehend that we have so many elections in the next year and a half. But I will be cheering on whoever wins the primary and working hard next year.
That's smart. That's how you keep yourself out of it. I like it. Michigan Senator Elissa Slotkin, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that was WDET's Russ McNamara. Coming up, Detroit's mayoral race is heating up. We'll talk with a local pastor who believes he should be the next city leader. This is WDET-FM, Detroit Public Radio, your connection to news, music, and conversation. And this is The Metro.